When people talk about global innovation, Europe is rarely the first place mentioned. The conversation usually moves towards Silicon Valley, or Shenzhen, or venture-backed ecosystems built for speed. Europe, by contrast, is often described as slow, over-regulated, risk-averse. But that description misses something important. Europe didn't fail to innovate. It chose to optimize for something else. To understand Europe's position in the global economy, you have to stop asking, why doesn't Europe scale like America? And start asking, what did Europe design its systems to protect? Because innovation does not happen in isolation. It emerges from incentives, and incentives are built into institutions. After the Second World War, much of Europe made a deliberate choice: stability over volatility, coordination over disruption, long-term social cohesion over rapid capital accumulation. This wasn't accidental, it was structural. European economies were rebuilt around strong labour protections, public healthcare systems, extensive social safety nets, powerful regulatory institutions, integrated regional trade. These systems were not designed to maximise unicorn startups. They were designed to prevent collapse. That design decision shaped everything that followed. In Europe, scaling a company requires navigating employment law, consumer protection frameworks, cross-border regulatory alignment, data protection standards, competition rules. To some founders, this feels restrictive. To policymakers, it feels responsible. The European model does not assume that growth alone is a public good. It asks whether growth fits inside institutional boundaries. That question slows things down. But it also produces something different. Europe does not dominate the global startup narrative, but it dominates in other ways. High-speed rail networks, advanced manufacturing, pharmaceutical standards, climate policy frameworks, privacy regulation. These are not flashy sectors, they are structural ones. And structure compounds quietly. European universities continue to produce world-class researchers. Industrial firms remain globally competitive. Export strength persists. Infrastructure remains reliable. The system does not reward extreme risk, but it also absorbs shocks differently. During financial crises, European institutions often intervene earlier. During industrial shifts, labour protections cushion transitions. During regulatory debates, standards are written carefully. Sometimes frustratingly so, but rarely impulsively. This creates a different kind of economic rhythm. Less explosive, more consistent. That consistency comes at a cost. Venture capital pools are smaller, exit markets are narrower, ambitious founders sometimes relocate. Capital often flows toward property and established industries rather than speculative growth. But that trade-off is not accidental. It reflects what the system values. Where the American model often prioritizes scale first and stability later, the European model embeds stability into the architecture from the beginning. Neither model is inherently superior. They are optimized differently. In the United States, failure is often treated as a learning step. In much of Europe, failure carries heavier structural consequences. In the United States, labour mobility is high. In Europe, labour protections are strong. These choices shape behaviour. When scaling a company in Europe, founders often build for compliance from day one. They think about regulation earlier. They prioritise institutional alignment. They design within boundaries rather than testing them. This does not eliminate innovation, it redirects it. European companies often excel in industrial technology, climate systems, deep engineering, precision manufacturing, enterprise software built for regulated environments, less hype, more durability. And durability has advantages. In sectors like energy, transport, pharmaceuticals, and finance, predictability matters more than speed. Europe also functions as a regulatory standard setter. Data protection rules, environmental frameworks, and competition policy often influence global norms. Even companies headquartered elsewhere adapt to European standards. That is a form of power rarely acknowledged. So, when people say Europe has fallen behind, it's worth asking. Behind in what? Consumer platforms? Yes. Venture-backed scale? Often. But in institutional design? In long-term coordination? In regulatory influence? Not necessarily. Europe built systems designed to reduce volatility, to protect workers, to balance markets, to integrate across borders. Those systems slow down explosive growth, but they also prevent certain forms of instability. In recent years, however, tension has grown. Younger founders question whether stability has become stagnation. Policymakers debate how to increase competitiveness without dismantling protections. Capital searches for new risk tolerance. This tension is not new. It is the natural consequence of a model reaching its limits. Which raises a deeper question. If Europe optimized for stability rather than scale, what happens when scale becomes unavoidable? Artificial intelligence, digital infrastructure, and platform economies reward speed and concentration. They amplify first-mover advantage. They reward large pools of risk capital. Can a stability-first system compete in that environment, or will it adapt? The answer may not come from the largest European economies. It may come from smaller states experimenting within the broader framework. Because Europe is not a monolith. It is a collection of systems layered on top of one another. And within that structure, some countries are moving faster than others. One of them, in particular, chose to rebuild its state around digital infrastructure from the ground up. Not by chasing hype, but by redesigning governance itself. To understand how Europe might evolve, we need to look at a country that treated the state like software. That story begins in Estonia,